everyone, welcome back to Singly Loving. I'm Kate. This channel is all about foster parenting, specifically single foster parenting. I'm a single foster parent and I hope it encourages you, whether you are a foster parent, single foster parent maybe, somebody who's thinking about foster parenting, or you just want to know how to love those foster parents in your life a little bit better. So thanks for being here today. We are in the middle of the Foster Care Awareness Month. And so I'm talking every month in May about foster parenting and specifically some common questions or just getting to know a little bit more about me or how I do things as a single foster parent. So thanks for being here. I really hope this encourages you today. So like I said, I am a single foster parent and I have been a foster parent for about 2.5 years. I have had a total of 9 kiddos in some sort of capacity, whether respite care or placements, all the way from 1 day up until my longest is my current placement. Currently, I have 2 little boys, twins that are almost 4. I can't believe I can say they're almost 4 now. So yeah, that's me, and I'm going to answer some of the Foster Care Awareness Month prompts from Amanda Carpenter over on Instagram. A lot of people are answering these prompts from their perspectives, their unique perspectives, and giving their thoughts and opinions on these topics. So I'm going to cover 3 of them, 3 of the 7 from this past week, and I'll cover them today. So first thing I'll just mention, I'm going to talk about these things from my own experience and then also from the experience of a single foster parent, just so you can kind of know, maybe you're single, maybe you're thinking about this, doing foster care, and you want to know what it might be like. So I want to talk about it from that perspective specifically. And there's of course overlaps with any foster parent, but all of us have a unique experience depending on our situations. And then of course being single is a very specific and unique situation to begin with. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is saying goodbye, and I'll talk a little bit about one of the goodbyes that I've had. And then I'll also talk about the different kiddos that I've had in my home and whether I still stay in touch with them. So my very first placement was just a 1-day placement, almost 24 hours, 30 hours, something like that. And I don't have contact with him, and that makes sense, I think, for the nature of the placement. The next placement was a 6-month placement, and I do have contact with that little boy and his family, and a really good relationship there. And then the next placement was 1 month, and I do have contact with that family. Just through texting some pictures here and there, and I do feel like if I reached out to them, they would reciprocate with like some communication and things like that. So that's really sweet. The next placement was, 2 weeks, and I do not have contact with him anymore. And again, it's got to be mutual on both sides, that it would make sense for there to be contact. You know, maybe there's some significant relationship there, and but I don't have contact with him anymore. And then the next one was 3 weeks, and I do have contact with that little guy, well, not really with him, but with the family that he's with through Facebook, and that's kind of our relationship right now, which is very sweet. It's fun to see him grow. And then the next couple placements were respite care, which you would think, oh, respite care, like, you won't have contact after that, but I actually do with one of the families. They're local here in town, and I think a big part of that is building a relationship and just like not having it just be like, oh, hey, can you watch my child, but have it be, you know, we're in this together. We as foster parents, this is hard and we need each other, and you know, if you ever need respite again, I'm here for you, and things like that. So that's also something I'll just mention. I have let everybody know after the child transitions to whatever home they're in next, that if you need anything, I am here for you. So, you know, I mentioned babysitting, and if they need anything in terms of toys or resources or whatever it is for the child, I am here for them. So I will continue to do that as long as I foster. And after those 2 respites was my current placement. So I do have contact with some of the kiddos and not contact with others. And so far I feel fortunate that I haven't had a situation where I have desired to have contact more and it hasn't been reciprocated. I know that that does happen. It's got to be mutual on both sides, that it makes sense, and that it makes sense for the kiddos. So I'll just share one story of a goodbye. I shared a different one over on Instagram, so if you're not following me there, you get different content there, I guess, than you would get here necessarily, but I'll just share one story of a goodbye because I think it was, the one I shared on Instagram was like, did that really just happen? And here's another one that was, it's just bizarre, like, it's not normal to like be moving kids from home to home and from mom to mom and all of this. So we're just working in this, like I've said before, a very bizarre space, a not ideal space, and we make the best of it. So I had a little kiddo, an infant from the hospital, picked him up from the NICU, and it wasn't clear what was going to happen with his case. So I couldn't, say for a while there, how, like, whether he would be with me long term or what would happen. So I was prepared for whatever, and there was grandparents involved, and wasn't sure if that would be the right placement or what was going to happen. So I had this little baby in my home, an infant, right? I was up at night with him. I was taking care of him every moment. I was off of work to take care of him. Like, my entire life was invested in this little guy for that time. And about 3 weeks in, I get a call from his caseworker, and she just said, the grandparents are ready to take him. So when you drop him off for his visit this Friday, you'll be done. I was like, you'll be done? Okay. Like, I've invested so much in this little guy, and it was kind of like, you're off the hook, like, you'll be done. So it was a funny goodbye, like, in that sense. It was kind of funny, like, wait, did that just really happen? Like, I've got a lot more invested in this than just a bed in my house, but he was going to an amazing situation, and it's one of the kiddos I stay in touch with, so very sweet goodbye. And the grandparents took pictures with me and him and sent them to me afterwards, and it was really, really sweet, bittersweet, like, it's sad. And as a single, you go from, you've got something that you're investing another human you're investing your entire life into, and you've just changed so much about your life to take care of this child. And then in that day, like in that moment, everything changes, and you're grieving and sad but happy at the same time, because that's where he's supposed to be. But then you go home and you see the crib, and you're alone because you're single, and there's a lot that goes into those goodbyes. I feel, again, fortunate that I've had some really hard goodbyes. I would say one very, very hard goodbye, and then the rest that were just sweet, like seeing kids go to safe homes and where they should be, and I'm very fortunate in that way. So that kind of leads me into the next topic that I was going to talk about, and that is, what sacrifices do you make when you choose to become a single foster parent? So I'll just start by saying, I'm going to share this from my experience. I'm a single foster parent. I want to talk about some things specifically that I think being single has been a sacrifice, and then also just, some of these things, it doesn't matter if you're single or not, you have to sacrifice an incredible amount to become a foster parent. It truly is a calling and a great choice to step into in a very uncomfortable space, a very broken space for many reasons, and you don't step into it because you think you can fix it, right? You step into the broken because you're willing to be broken, to be made a mess, to cry, to grieve, to be broken for these kiddos so that they can experience a sense of healing in a really, really difficult spot. And the whole family can hopefully experience healing during a very difficult, maybe one of the most difficult things they're going to go through in this life, having their children removed from them. So we'll just start there. So sacrifice. It is 100% worth every sacrifice that I'm going to mention. I'll just say that to start. And the first sacrifice I'm gonna mention, like maybe it's obvious, maybe it's not, maybe it's just me and I've thought a lot about this, but sacrificing kind of like maybe my dating life. Not that I had a huge dating life before, but I am no longer like really, I don't know, putting myself out there a ton in terms of dating. I think being a single parent now, I'm just aware, and I was aware before I made this choice to become a single foster parent, that may eliminate this huge pool of people that before would have been like, yeah, totally on board for getting to know me and wanting to date. But now when you're a parent, there's a huge, like big part of my life that they have to consider that they didn't have to consider before. And this is not like, I'm not sad about this necessarily. There's been a lot of grieving through it and, you know, recognizing it as a sacrifice that I've made and being willing to maybe say no, possibly, to getting married or for now or whatever it is. So anyway, that's just a sacrifice I have to make, and knowing that there's going to be a big pool of people that maybe are not so interested in not only getting to know me, but considering that if they get to know me, that's also going to mean they become a dad right away. And yeah, it's more than just me getting to know me in a relationship. And I totally understand that. Not a plea at all for anyone watching this, by the way. Yeah, let's leave those comments off of this page. Thank you. The second thing I'm going to mention in terms of sacrifices is a sacrifice it has taken on my body, inside and out, physically, emotionally, mentally. There has been a lot of sacrifice, and it has caused me to have to be extra intentional to work on my emotional well-being and my spiritual well-being and my physical well-being. And I would say the biggest hit I've experienced is physically. I used to be someone who loved to work out all the time, and I could just, at the drop of a hat, go for a run, go hiking, go biking, whatever it is. And I experienced this a lot with my infants. Having infants meant that I wasn't sleeping well, lots of stress, and not being able to get out and just go and work out like I used to. And I thought that was just going to be the case when I had infants, and maybe it would be easier once I had a little bit older kids. But even my current placement, months and months and months where the only working out I did was, you know, pulling them in the wagon. Now I get to go on a lot of walks, and I would say I'm getting back into like having some of my own time to take care of myself, but there's many sleepless nights as a foster parent, many sleepless nights. It doesn't matter what age child you get. I think even this current placement, they were 3 years old, was even more of a difficult sleeping season of like difficult sleeping, even more so than having infants. So sleep is hard, and when you don't sleep, everything is affected. So there's been a huge sacrifice in terms of my physical health, and you know, I'm doing okay. I don't want to scare anyone, but it's been hard. You know, I've got gray hairs, I've got more wrinkles, I've not been able to stay in shape like I used to. So that's a sacrifice, and it, like I said, 100% worth it. I'll just mention one more, and that is just sacrificing your ability to be available for other people. I think I, as a single, really appreciated that I had freedoms in my life to show up and be there for my friends who were married or had kids or were going through difficult times or needed help with getting a ride to the airport, or doing something around their house for them, or treating them in a special way with, you know, showing up with coffee at their door or whatever it was. I really love that I could be available for people as a single, and I think it's a huge benefit. There's so many blessings in being single and getting to have deep, meaningful relationships and show up for people in their time of need like no other time in life. And So with that, it has been a sacrifice to now have kiddos and be the one that a lot of times has the needs and needs other people to show up for me. That's been hard and humbling and a sacrifice. I miss in a lot of ways getting to just go and show up where there is a need, where a lot of other people aren't able to show up. So I do miss that. I think that's a huge sacrifice, and I need to constantly remind myself that sacrificing that side of singleness is because I have taken on something different in singleness that is very significant, just in a different way. And I'm showing up for these kids. It may not be showing up for a lot of people in small ways, but it's showing up for a few kids in very significant ways. So I try to think of it like that, and yeah, just try to do what I can for other people at the right times, but remembering that right now my kiddos are the ones that need me to show up for them every day in the mundane, everyday things of life, and that is making a big impact. I'm just gonna squeeze in one more of these Foster Care Awareness Month prompts because I wanna give a big shout out and thank you to everyone who has rallied behind me as a foster parent. From the moment I started telling people that I was going to foster single, I have had my church family, my friends, co-workers, so many people show up for me. I still get text messages when there's extra hand-me-down clothes or toys. I have things showing up on my doorstep, oftentimes gifts for the kids, food, meals. So many people have shown up for me, and I don't take that lightly because I know that as a foster parent, it's not like I just, I have a baby and then that baby grows up and we get used to things and we adjust. But when you have foster kids, within 1 year, I had about four kids in 1 year's time. And every time I had a child, people showed up. It's just so much of a blessing to have a tribe and a community. I think there are people that show up it just so significantly in ways that I have a hard time even articulating, if you can't tell. But I have a family that comes once a week, every week, for a meal and leaves us leftovers. I have friends through Instagram and social media, YouTube, that are asking when they see that I talk about something, where they see there's a way that they might be able to help, they reach out to me. And they do that. I have friends that just ask, how are you doing today? Like, I know the kids have been hard. Like, how are you doing? Do you need anything? My church family, the house church that I'm involved with, have been a huge blessing in adjusting their life and their way of things to help our family thrive, me and the kiddos. So I can't even say enough how much it's meant that people show up for us and they're there for us, and they make changes so that my kiddos can be part of their lives too. So thank you everyone who's watching this, and thank you to this YouTube community for being there and encouraging and letting me know if you enjoy these videos, giving a thumbs up, subscribing. I see this as a way not just to bless me, but you can encourage other foster parents who may click on this video and find it because you have given it positive feedback. So thank you. I'll see you guys later. Bye.